The biggest secret inside Ten Petal Ranch is finally coming to light, and now there is no turning back. After everything Beth and Rip have discovered, the war that has been building in silence is about to explode. Someone betrayed them, someone destroyed their cattle, and someone has been hiding the truth for years. But in episode 9 of Dutton Ranch, the biggest question is not just who will win this fight, it is who will survive when revenge finally begins. Rip and Waqin may have found the perfect way to bring Rob, Will, and Bula down, but their plan could create a danger they never expected. Because when powerful people feel trapped, they do not go down quietly. After the shocking events of episode 8, everything has changed for the Dutton family and Ten Petal Ranch. For a long time, Beth and Rip were fighting without knowing the full picture. They knew something was wrong. They knew someone was trying to hurt their ranch, but they did not know how deep the problem went. Now, after Austin finally revealed the truth, the hidden world behind Ten Petal Ranch has started to collapse. Austin's confession changed everything. The information he gave Beth and Rip was not just another piece of gossip. It was the missing connection that helped them understand the entire operation. The stolen cattle, the violence, the secrets, and the people protecting Rob Will were all connected. For Beth, this was the moment when the mystery ended and the revenge began. Beth has always been someone who fights with intelligence. She does not rush into a battle without knowing where the enemy is weak. And now, she knows exactly what she is facing. Rob Will is not just a rival ranch owner, he is someone who has built power through fear and control. But the biggest mistake he made was believing that Beth and Rip would never discover the truth. Rip, on the other hand, understands something very important. A person like Rob Will does not stop because someone asks him to. He only stops when someone stronger forces him to. That is why episode 9 could become the turning point, where Rip moves from defending the ranch to attacking his enemies directly. But the most interesting part of this new fight is Waqin's role. For a long time, Waqin was caught between loyalty and reality. He wanted to believe that Ten Petal Ranch was his home, but the truth slowly destroyed that belief. Bula's decisions and Rob Will's actions pushed him closer and closer to realizing that he was never truly part of their family. Episode 8 showed a completely different side of Waqin. He was no longer just someone watching the conflict from the middle. He made a choice. By revealing important information and trying to bring evidence to Sheriff Wade, Waqin took his first real step against Rob Will. But the problem is that exposing Rob Will not be easy. Power protects power, and Rob Will has spent years creating connections that allow him to escape consequences. Even when Waqin brought serious accusations, the sheriff was not ready to move because there was still not enough proof. This is where Rip could become the key person in Waqin's plan. Waqin knows that the biggest evidence against Rob Will is connected to the past. The truth about what happened to Wes could finally destroy everything Rob Will has built. But finding that evidence means Waqin must work with the one person who knows the truth better than anyone else. Rippius episode 9 could show a very important conversation between Rip and Waqin. Waqin may finally reveal everything he knows and explain why he wants justice. Rip may not trust him immediately because Rip has spent his life protecting the Dutton name and watching people betray those around him. But after learning what happened at Ten Petal Ranch, Rip may realize that Waqin is not the enemy. Their partnership could become the biggest threat Rob Will has ever faced. Because separately, Beth, Rip, and Waqin have limits. Beth has the strategy, Rip has the strength, Waqin has the inside information. But together, they have something Rob Will never expected, a plan that attacks him from every direction. The question now is how far Rip is willing to go. Rip has always followed his own code. He protects the people he loves. And when someone crosses that line, he does not forget. The damage done to the ranch is not just business for him anymore. It has become personal. And when Rip takes something personally, his enemies usually discover the consequences too late. However, Rob, Will, and Bula are not powerless. They still have influence, money, and secrets of their own. Bula especially could become more dangerous now because she knows Beth is coming after everything she built. She may already understand that Beth is not trying to simply defeat her. Beth wants to completely remove her control over the ranch. That is why episode 9 could become a battle of strategy between Beth and Bula. Both women are intelligent, both know how to manipulate situations. But the difference is that Beth is fighting for survival. Oi for wool, while Bula is fighting to protect a world that is slowly falling apart. The biggest question heading into episode 9 is whether Rip and Waqin's plan will work before Rob Will discovers the betrayal. Because once Rob Will realizes that Waqin has turned against him, the situation could become much more dangerous. Waqin may have started a war that he cannot stop, but for the first time, he is fighting for the truth instead of protecting a lie. And as episode 9 approaches, one thing is clear. The secrets of 10 Petal Ranch are no longer buried. The people who thought they controlled everything are finally being exposed, and Beth and Rip are ready to make their move. The biggest change coming in episode 9 is not just the information that Beth and Rip now have. It is the fact that they are no longer fighting alone. For the first time, Waqin has stepped away from 10 Petal Ranch and moved toward the people who want to expose the truth. But this decision could cost him everything. Waqin's betrayal is not a small choice. He spent years believing that 10 Petal Ranch was his family and his home. He was protected, respected, and given a place in a world where loyalty meant everything. But after seeing the truth behind Bula and Rob Will's actions, that loyalty started to disappear. The hardest moment for Waqin was realizing that the people he trusted were willing to destroy anyone who stood in their way. He may have accepted mistakes in the past, but what happened to Wes and what happened to the cattle changed his entire view of the ranch. Now, Waqin is not looking for forgiveness. He is looking for justice. And that is exactly why Rip may become the most important person in his plan. Rip understands revenge better than anyone. He knows that anger alone is not enough to win a war. A person needs patience, timing, and the right information. This is something Beth has always understood, and now Waqin is beginning to understand it too. The first step in their plan could be finding the evidence that connects Rob Will directly to his crimes. Without proof, Rob Will can continue hiding behind his power and influence. He can make people doubt the truth and convince others that the accusations are just an attempt to destroy him. But if Rip and Waqin can uncover the evidence they need, everything changes. The problem is that getting that evidence will not be simple. Rob Will has spent years protecting himself. He knows how to make problems disappear, and he knows how to control people through fear. Anyone who gets close to exposing him becomes a threat. This means Waqin has placed himself in a very dangerous position. Because Rob Will knows everyone around him. He knows their weaknesses. He knows their secrets. And if he discovers that Waqin is working with Rip and Beth, he may not hesitate to remove him from the picture. But Waqin may already understand the danger. The reason he is moving forward is because he knows there is no way back. Once he gave information to Sheriff Wade, he crossed a line. He challenged the people who once protected him, and now he has to finish what he started. Meanwhile, Beth is likely watching everything carefully. She knows that emotions can destroy a good plan. She has seen people act too quickly and make mistakes because they were angry. That is why Beth's role in episode 9 could be even more important than people expect. While Rip focuses on the direct threat, Beth could attack 10 Petal Ranch in a completely different way. Instead of fighting Rob Will physically, she may target the thing he cares about most: his control. A ranch is not only land and animals, it is business, reputation, and relationships. If Beth can break those connections, she can weaken 10 Petal Ranch without firing a single shot. This is where Beth's intelligence becomes dangerous. She knows how to find pressure points. She knows how to make people question who they are supporting. And if she reveals the truth about stolen cattle or illegal operations, the people doing business with 10 Petal Ranch may start walking away. For Rob Will, losing control could be worse than losing money, because powerful people often fear one thing more than anything else: losing their influence. That is why episode 9 could show Rob Will becoming more desperate. When someone like him feels trapped, they usually become more aggressive. He may start searching for the person who betrayed him, and Waqin could quickly become his main target. But there is another mystery that could change everything. The connection between Waqin's father and Bula may reveal that this conflict started many years before anyone realized. The past of 10 Petal Ranch may hold the key to understanding why certain decisions were made and why some people stayed silent for so long. Waqin may discover that the truth about his own family is connected to the secrets of the ranch. And this discovery could completely change how he sees Bula. Because sometimes the biggest betrayal does not come from an enemy. Sometimes it comes from the people who claimed to love you. As episode 9 gets closer, Rip and Waqin's plan looks stronger, but the danger is growing at the same time. Every move they make creates another risk. Every secret they uncover creates another enemy. The question is not only whether they can expose Rob Will, the real question is whether they can survive long enough to see him fall. And with Beth preparing her own strategy, episode 9 could become the moment when 10 Petal Ranch finally realizes that the Dutton side is not coming to negotiate. They are coming to end the fight. While Rip, Beth, and Waqin are preparing their next move, Bula and Rob Will may already sense that something is changing. Powerful people usually notice when they start losing control, and 10 Petal Ranch is beginning to show cracks that can no longer be hidden. For a long time, Bula believed she had everything under control. She built a powerful operation, protected her secrets, and surrounded herself with people who followed her decisions. She thought the ranch would continue exactly the way it always had. But episode 9 could show Bula facing the biggest challenge of her life. The reason is simple. Beth Dutton is not fighting a normal battle. Beth does not just attack what people show to the world. She looks for the hidden weakness underneath. She studies her enemy, waits for the right moment, and then strikes where it hurts the most. And now, Beth knows that 10 Petal Ranch has weaknesses. The cattle operation, the stolen resources, the secrets surrounding Rob Will, and the people who helped cover everything up could become the weapons Beth uses against them. But Bula is smarter than many people realize. She knows Beth is dangerous. She understands that Beth is not someone who can be intimidated easily. That is why Bula may decide that fighting back with strength alone will not work. Instead, she could use information. One of the biggest questions heading into episode 9 is how much Bula truly knows about the Dutton family's past. Her conversation with Beth showed that she may have knowledge about events that even Beth does not want exposed. Bula asking about John Dutton's death and Jamie's disappearance was not a random conversation. It felt like a warning. It suggested that Bula may have been watching the Dutton family for a long time, and if Beth tries to destroy 10 Petal Ranch, Bula could use those secrets as a final weapon. This creates a completely different kind of battle, because Beth is used to attacking others, but she is also someone who carries painful history. If Bula can expose something from Beth's past, she could create a situation where Beth is forced to defend herself instead of attacking. However, Bula has one major problem. Her power depends on people staying loyal to her. And episode 8 already showed that loyalty is disappearing. Waqin turning against her could be the beginning of a much larger collapse. If someone who knows the inside of 10 Petal Ranch starts revealing secrets, then Bula's entire foundation becomes unstable. That is why Rob Will could become more aggressive in episode 9. Rob Will is someone who survives by controlling situations. He knows how to pressure people, how to hide mistakes, and how to make others afraid. But when fear stops working, his next move becomes unpredictable. The biggest danger for Rob Will is that he may underestimate Waqin. He may believe Waqin is emotional and confused. He may think Waqin will eventually return because of their history together, but Waqin has reached a point where he is no longer trying to protect a relationship. He is trying to expose the truth, and that makes him dangerous. Because a person who has nothing left to lose can become impossible to control. This could create one of the most intense confrontations of episode 9. Rob Will may try to convince Waqin that he is making a mistake. He may remind him of everything 10 Petal Ranch gave him. He may try to make him feel guilty for turning against the people who raised him. But Waqin may finally realize that loyalty does not mean accepting everything. Sometimes loyalty means standing against what is wrong. Meanwhile, Rip will likely continue preparing for the possibility that this conflict becomes physical. Rip knows Rob Will is not someone who will simply accept defeat. If his business starts falling apart and his secrets begin coming out, he could become even more dangerous. This is why Rip's partnership with Waqin matters so much. Waqin knows the inside of 10 Petal Ranch. He knows the people involved, the locations, and the hidden connections. Rip knows how to handle enemies who believe they are untouchable. Together, they create a threat Rob will never expected. But there is still one major question. What will Sheriff Wade do? Sheriff Wade is caught in a difficult position. He may want justice, but he also understands the influence Rob Will has built. Without strong evidence, taking action could create even bigger problems. However, if Rip and Waqin discover the proof they need, Sheriff Wade may have no choice but to act. The law can ignore rumors, but it cannot ignore the truth, and that truth may finally be coming. As episode 9 approaches, every character is moving toward the same moment. Beth is preparing her business attack, Rip is preparing for the fight ahead, Waqin is risking everything to reveal the truth, and Bula and Rob Will are trying to hold together a world that is already breaking apart. The battle for Ten Petal Ranch is no longer about land. It is about revenge, betrayal, and who has the power to decide the future. And the most shocking part is that nobody knows who will make the first move. The closer we get to episode 9, the clearer it becomes that the fight between Dutton Ranch and Ten Petal Ranch is not just about revenge. It is about revealing the truth that has been hidden for years. And once those secrets come into the open, there may be no way for anyone to return to the way things were before. For Beth and Rip, the biggest challenge is not finding out what happened. They already know enough to understand that something serious took place. The real challenge is deciding how to use that information. Because one wrong move could give Rob, Will, and Bula the chance they need to escape. Beth knows that revenge without a plan is useless. She has seen powerful people make emotional decisions and lose everything because they acted too quickly. That is why her approach will likely be more calculated in episode 9. She does not want a temporary victory. She wants to completely change the balance of power. And that means destroying the foundation that allows Ten Petal Ranch to continue operating. The cattle business could become the first battlefield. For Rob, Will, and Bula, the ranch is not just a home. It represents their power and their reputation. If Beth can prove that their success was built on illegal actions, she can turn their biggest achievement into their biggest weakness. The people who support Ten Petal Ranch may start questioning everything. Business partners may walk away. Trust may disappear. And once trust is gone, even the strongest operations can collapse. This is why Beth may focus on exposing the truth rather than simply confronting Rob Will directly. But while Beth is planning her strategy, Rip understands that some battles cannot be won with words alone. Rip has always been someone who protects his family through action. He does not make empty threats. When he decides someone has crossed the line, he makes sure they understand the consequences. And Rob Will has crossed that line. The damage done to the ranch, the betrayal, and the secrets surrounding Wes have made this conflict personal for Rip. That is why the partnership between Rip and Waqin could become the most dangerous thing happening at Ten Petal Ranch. Waqin has something that Rip does not have: access. He knows the people inside the operation. He knows how Bula thinks. He understands the relationships that keep the ranch running. But Rip has something Waqin does not have: experience. Rip knows that powerful enemies rarely surrender when they are exposed. They fight back harder. They create distractions. They attack the people closest to their enemies. And that is exactly what could happen next. Rob Will may realize that Waqin is the weak point in the plan. If he cannot stop Rip and Beth directly, he may try to break their alliance by targeting Waqin. He may try to convince Waqin that he has been manipulated. This could create a shocking confrontation where both sides reveal information that changes the entire conflict. Because in the world of Dutton Ranch, nobody enters a fight without having something hidden. Everyone has a secret. Everyone has a weakness. And episode 9 could be the episode where those secrets finally come out. The biggest question is whether the truth will be enough to bring down Ten Petal Ranch, or whether Rob, Will, and Bula will find another way to survive. Because even when powerful people lose control, they can still be dangerous. And as Rip, Beth, and Waqin move closer to their final move, one thing becomes certain: the war has already started. Now the only question left is who will be standing when it ends.